Okay, so I at one point convinced myself I could get this review out for you last night. Nope, wasn't able to do it. I did finish the movie, but when it was done, I sort of started to fall asleep towards the end, so I couldn't really, you know. So Transformers Revenge of the Fallen is probably the worst, question mark? Honestly, it bounces between this one and last night. Let's discuss the Blu-ray look. This one is the original Blu-ray cover, but this one is the 2-disc special edition. And I actually kind of prefer this one. This one is cool and everything. It shows you like everything you need to see. You got Optimus, and you got our two fantastic leads right down here with the pyramid thingy. But this, I feel, is better. And in the back, kind of, you know, they're trying to make all the covers kind of look like the same in the back. So there's that with Shard and everything. But you look at this. So you have Optimus, just Optimus with this nice shiny Transformers logo, and in the back you have the pyramid with some light and the pictures of the movie and stuff. But if you take the slip cover off, underneath you'll find Megatron, and Megatron looks pretty cool in this picture, I should say. And then on the back you have more stuff. You have, you know, Shia LaBeouf and all the other stuff, Sam, you know, and all that. So that's why I think this is the one I got from my folks. And I already had it, but I thought this was just so cool I couldn't pass it up. So, yeah. So, enough about, you know, praising the cover, which is probably the best part of this movie. Let's talk about the movie. Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. It tells the story of apparently back in the caveman days, the aboriginal days, I would say, when humans were proto-formed, much like Beast Wars, which would make sense if that's what they were, but no, it wasn't. So there were Transformers that landed on Earth. They were the Primes, you know, direct lineage to Optimus Prime. And one of them was the Fallen, and there is this machine that, when activated, will black out the sun and destroy the world. And now we are in the main... How do I keep saying that? Now we're back in present time of 2009 when this movie came out. And Sam is going off to college. And he's not taking Bumblebee with him for reasons. And, yeah. We also find out that a new kind of group has been formed called Nest. I believe that's in this one. And the humans are working with the Transformers. And this outlines my first big problem with this film. Is that they felt the need to bring Sam Witwicky, his cookie parents, and Megan Fox back to this franchise when they already had a pretty solid way to continue the sequel. And I mean, you set up this brilliant scientist team with Rachel Taylor and the other two smart kids, and really, in the first film, Sam Witwicky doesn't really do much to say, you know, except for in the climax. Most of the runtime in the first film is spent following Rachel Taylor and the analysts. We follow her just as much as we do Sam. And it always felt kind of cheated that we didn't get her in this film. Maybe she was filming a show or something, who knows. But she's not in this, and she doesn't come back for any of the future films. And that's really going to get my gripe. Especially when we get to Age of Extinction and how they could have done that. Especially if, you know, they finished off the Sam trilogy. But they brought back Sam, brought back Michaela, and the parents who were so fun in the first one. They were fine in the first one, but here you got the mom who is doing pop brownies, and then Yeah. And this is Michael Bay, the most Michael Bay-ish in this franchise, I would say, because while he does over-sexualize women in the next couple films, here you really feel it because not that it's really a bad thing, but it shows you where his mindset was when one of the first shots of the film, once we get to the modern era, is Megan Fox bent over a motorcycle with her ass in the air towards the camera. Somewhat towards the camera, but still. One, you wouldn't sit on a motorcycle that way. I don't think she's detailing it, and I don't think it would really work that way. It would be very uncomfortable. And two, while it's not bad to look at, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And I don't like the way Michaela is handled in this film. Like, first of all, there's nothing wrong with having a strong female lead. And in the first film, she wasn't really that. At first she was. And then once the whole thing starts, she's screaming, Sam, Sam, I need you, Sam, and all that. And then here, it's basically the same thing. And then there's bits of, oh, she's going to rebel, but then she just falls back to him later. And I don't know, suffice to say, Charlie might be the best female character in this franchise, and that's not the Bumblebee. I'm just saying. Yeah, because they do this thing. So they have Isabella. Is her name on the credits? She's not in this, but she was in the Red Dawn remake, which I still say is a pretty good movie. But she was in that. And she plays a pretender Transformer. Those are Transformers who disguise themselves as humans. And that's one of the things in this film that people flip out about. Oh, they can't disguise themselves as humans. Did you not see the toy line? They had pretender Transformers disguised as humans. That was a thing. I don't know if it was in a show, but they had a thing. You know, it was a thing. And the biggest thing with this character is that she's following Sam around because of his connection to the first film. Sam finds a shard from the cube in the jacket that he wore that day, which, why wouldn't you find it sooner? I don't know. It's been 2 years. Who knows? Or been a year. I don't know. But anyway, so she starts to try to seduce Sam to get this, information and stuff. Michaela walks in on them, and at this point, her being mad, but to go as far as to say, she's like, "Is that your girlfriend?" Ex. I'm like, really? You don't want an explanation? You're just, after all this, putting on a dress and everything for him at the beginning of the film, you're not going to give him the benefit of the doubt as to what's going on. You've shown that you care for him a lot. And to just say, no, X, without any explanation, doesn't make any sense to this character. At least what we've seen so far in this film. And even after it's revealed she is a pretender Transformer, she's still pissed about it. Despite the fact that he's not at fault at all. He was seduced by the enemy. He had no clue, but still, he's not at fault. He didn't do anything wrong here. He kept telling her no. She would not listen. It was practically rape. She forced herself on him. He was not in control of the situation. He cannot be put at fault. All right? Now, if he, jumped up, whipped it out, and started going to town, then a little bit. But as it stands, from what we got, he's not at fault at all. And yet she blames him. Even when Wheelie starts humping her leg, at least he's faithful. So is he. He didn't do anything. Technically, he didn't do anything because of the fact that they didn't go anywhere with it. And it was never going to go anywhere, especially when you found out that it was a Decepticon in disguise. It wasn't going to go anywhere. He was probably going to kill him. So you being pissed about this doesn't make any sense. Without a doubt, though, the best part of this film is Agent Simmons. Not that we need to see his package, which, there's a part where he's in his underwear or whatever. I don't know. Do not tell my mother. He's one of the best parts, especially that speech. One man, alone. Disgraced by the country he loved. Now, in its time of need. Just that whole thing where he's climbing and he orders the railgun thing. He's fantastic. I've always liked John Turturro in this. And he's good in Dark of the Moon. I think he's good. I think he's fantastic. But yeah, and the action stuff is pretty good. It's action, but they kill off Optimus, which didn't they just do that in the first one? Sort of, kind of, not really, I guess, but they kill him off here so they could do the Jetfire fusion thing, which I don't know if they did in the original cartoon, but I know they did it in Transformers Armada, which was the one I grew up with. And I remember really cheering at this point when they fused together, despite the fact that it's never used again in the rest of the franchise, and we never see Jetfire again, even though I think he was prominent in the Armada series. But I really cheered that. Bumblebee is back to using his car radio as his voice, despite the fact that he spoke to Optimus in the first film. And like I said, the parents are cringe, of course. And they get thrown into this towards the end because they're kidnapped and they're thrown in by the Fallen. And the Fallen is not a memorable villain at all. He's just basically, I want to destroy the world and stuff. It's meh, meh. Devastator, though, despite the robotic scrotum, was actually a pretty good addition to this. I like this. Even if the only big thing that he contributed was the line, "I'm right beneath the enemy scrotum," that Simmons puts out. Leo, I just remembered Leo. Leo is Sam's too old to be in college roommate. And by that, I mean the actor is currently, right now, 41 years old, which means when this came out, he was already 25. Maybe older. Because Shia LaBeouf is 34, 35. Megan Fox is the same age as I am. And this dude is 41. So he was a little bit older than then. I mean, in 2009, I was past college age too, but this guy was a little... And okay, I want this dorm room, because he's got the biggest dorm room in the history of dorm rooms and things set up where he's talking about, stuff that happened secretly, But he doesn't really add anything to this film other than being a somewhat replacement for Rachel Taylor. You still got Epps and I forgot his name, but Josh Duhamel. They're in this. And they had this new liaison guy who doesn't really amount to anything other than a joke when they drop him in the middle of a desert or something. It doesn't do much. And then we have the twins. There are new Transformers in this, and we have the twins. They say it's racist. It's Tom Kenny providing the voice, at least of one of them, by the way. I think Frank Welker does the other one. I think they're fine. They say they're racist because supposedly they're Asian with the buck teeth and the eyes. I don't see it because they're combined into an ice cream truck, which is pretty cool. But they're fine. The Transformers in this are fine. But yeah, like I said, the action is actually pretty good. But it's the human part of this film that weighs it down for me. Everything human part, almost everything in the human part is very, very bad. And I get to the Janos and I go, everything you're doing is bad. I want you to know this. Because everything with the human stuff is bad. And I want you to know this. It's terrible. Especially when you ruin a perfectly good cake by sticking your finger in the frosting and writing weird symbols on the table. That's the thing that pisses me off in this film the most. Is you ruin a perfectly good cake by doing that, sticking your finger in there. And there's germs in the cake and no one else can enjoy the cake because you stuck your finger in there. I haven't posted the clip on Instagram. It's still weird for me to say. Yes, I have an Instagram now. Scotty Boy Rules with a Z. Please follow me on Instagram. Why not? You know, as it stands, this film so far in my rewatch is probably the worst. But that's just saying that the first one is the only other one that I've watched so far. But yeah. So with Revenge of the Fallen, I'm going to give it a 6. A 6 out of 10. Oh, I forgot about the animated one, which I think is also alright. Better than this. So what are your thoughts on Transformers Revenge of the Fallen? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty. See you in the next one.